Hey guys, and thank you so much for tuning in to check out more and more tales to give you goosebumps. Reader beware, you're in for 10 scares. So today we are going to read The Ghost Sitter. Ray was worried. He and his family had recently moved into a funny old house with 2 staircases and a crooked chimney. Mum and Dad loved to buy old houses and fix them up, but they promised this time would be the last. "This is our home forever," Mum said, "crooked chimney and all." "Beat you to the top," Mike, Ray's older brother, shouted from the stairway across the hall. He was already halfway up the staircase. "Meet you in the lookout room," Ray shouted back. He loved all the funny little rooms in the old house, and he knew the place would look great once his parents finished fixing it up. That wasn't what worried him. He was worried about what happened at recess. "This town has got its very own haunted house," a skinny kid named Chris told him. On the playground. "A rundown old place. When my dog gets anywhere near it, he just sits down and howls." "And what about the smell?" another kid chimed in. "The house smells like garbage that's been left out for weeks." Ray shivered. Mike stood next to him on the playground. Mike was smiling. Ray could tell that his brother didn't believe any of it. "Where is this so-called haunted house?" Mike asked. "On Beach Street," a girl with braces said. "The end of Beach," Chris added. "Huh?" Ray uttered. He and Mike lived on Beach Street, at the dead end. The bell rang and everyone wandered back into school. Ray walked beside the girl with the braces. "You know that haunted house on Beach Street?" Ray asked. The girl nodded solemnly. "Well, is it the one on the right or the one on the left?" "Let's see," the girl said. She thought hard. The left. Yes, it's the one on the left." And that's what had Ray worried. The deserted house next door. The one on the left. Ray had already noticed something creepy about it. The lawn was overgrown with weeds. A small window was broken. It could be haunted. It looked haunted. Mike and Ray walked home after school. "Mike, do you really think the house next door is haunted?" Ray asked. Mike shook his head. "No way. There's no such thing as a haunted house. Not on our street. Not on anybody's street." Ray started to feel better. Mike sounded so sure. He smiled when he saw his mother. She was busy planting bright red geraniums in the window boxes on their front porch. It was really beginning to look like a home. "Hi, Mum," Ray called as he ran up the front path. But then he froze. Something was wrong. He could feel it. A chill ran up his back. He had the feeling someone was watching him. He turned around to the house next door. His gaze wandered up the peeling paint on the side of the house. He spotted a small, round window in the top of the house. And there they were. 2 eyes. Dark, angry eyes staring down at him. He gasped. The eyes vanished. "Mike," he whispered. I think I just saw the ghost up in that window." Mike glanced up at the empty window. Then he shook his head. "Don't let the kids at school spook you." "I've got a job for you two," their mother said, dropping her gardening trowel. Mike groaned. "I've got homework, Mum. Can't Ray do it?" "It's a job for both of you," she said. "You're going to house sit for the sweet old couple next door while they're away." Ray's eyes bulged. His mouth dropped open. "You mean somebody actually lives there?" "Mr. and Mrs. Hodge," their mother replied. "I met them today. I think they've lived there forever. You just have to do a few chores for them Saturday morning, and again at night." "At night?" Ray gasped. "Do we have to sleep there?" His mother laughed. "Of course not. The Hodges will be back Sunday morning." Mike sighed. "It's the weekend, Mum. I wanted to hang out with my new friends." "I promised them, Mike. It won't be any big deal," she insisted. "They told me exactly what they need you to do." Mike shrugged. "Fine, whatever." "Whatever," Ray repeated, softly gazing up at the window next door. The next morning they walked across the yard to the house next door. Ray picked up the Hodges mail and the newspaper. Then he caught up to Mike on their porch. He slipped the key into the lock, turned the knob, and gave the heavy wooden door a shove. The door creaked as it swung open on rusty hinges. The house was quiet, so quiet. Ray could hear the hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. They stepped into a long hall. Ray followed so closely behind Mike, he scraped the back of one of Mike's shoes. "Quit it, Ray," Mike warned. "You're scaring yourself." "What's that horrible smell?" Ray cried. "Yuck, like rotten eggs?" Ray held his nose. Mike sniffed. Yeah, I smell it," he coughed. "Gross." Ray followed him into the kitchen. "It's definitely something rotting." He glanced around nervously. "Hey, check it out, they've got a dumbwaiter," Mike said. "It's one of those little elevators that goes between floors. Cool." He started to open it. "Don't," Ray cried. "Let's just do our chores and get out of here." Mike pulled the dumbwaiter door up halfway. "Oh, it stinks," Ray moaned. He backed up. "It's like something dead." Mike grabbed a dish towel and covered his nose. He reached into the dumbwaiter carefully and grabbed something. "It's just a bowl of old food," Mike muttered. "Open the garbage can." Holding his breath to keep out the stench, Ray opened the can. Mike tilted the dish. A dry, green blob plopped into the garbage can. Ray slammed the lid shut. "What was that?" he gasped. "Oatmeal." Mike fanned the towel around. "Guess the Hodges forgot it was there." He put the empty bowl back in the dumbwaiter. "Wonder if it works," he said. He pulled a rope. The elevator tray slid up, carrying the bowl. "Cool." They both watched it disappear. "Wonder where it ends up," Ray murmured. "In the attic, probably," Mike answered. Ray shivered and remembered the dark eyes staring down at him from the round attic window. He shut the dumbwaiter door tight. "Let's go," he said. "Not so fast, Ray." Mike grabbed his elbow. "We have to open the curtains in the living room." Ray followed closely after Mike. He was nearly to the dark living room when something soft squished under his shoe. His heart jumped into his throat. "Yuck! I stepped in something. An animal!" Mike rolled his eyes. He bent down and picked up a soft cloth doll. "You mean this?" He handed it to Ray. Ray stared at it. "It has no head, Mike, and look at these teeth marks in the doll's arms." Mike studied it. "Looks like it's been chewed." "By what?" Ray demanded. Mike didn't answer. He began to tug the drakes open. Something crashed on the floor above them. This time, Ray's heart leapt into his mouth. A second loud crash was followed by a deep groan. "Someone is in this house!" Ray cried. He dove for the front door. He turned and caught the fear on Mike's face. The two of them roared out of the house and slammed the door behind them. They flopped down on their porch, out of breath, and stared at the house next door. Ray shivered. "What did we hear? Do you think it was a ghost? Should we tell Mum and Dad?" "We acted dumb," Mike scolded. "There was no need to run away. Old houses are full of strange noises." Ray knew that his brother was right. All old houses made noises. Or it could have been some of the kids playing a joke, Mike suggested. He started into the house. "Don't bother Mum and Dad with this. It's no big deal." "Right, no big deal," Ray echoed. The black cloud seemed to be gathering right over the house next door. Ray and Mike crossed the yard for the second time that day. Ray shuddered at the sound of thunder. They opened the door. "It's so dark in here," Ray whispered. "I can't see a thing." "I'll find the light switch," Mike whispered back. Ray could hear Mike's hand sliding over the wall. A loud crack of thunder made them both jump. Ray heard a click. The hall light flashed on. He breathed a sigh of relief as they edged toward the living room. "You close the drapes," Mike ordered. "I'll turn the kitchen light on." Ray started to protest, but Mike was already hurrying away. Ray made his way slowly to the dark living room. He reached his hand around the corner, feeling for the light switch. His hand brushed something soft. He gasped and pulled it back. He stood still for a moment, hardly daring to breathe. Was it just a cobweb? Slowly, he reached out again. His fingers fumbled on the switch. He clicked the ceiling light on and stared into the room. "Whoa," he uttered. He tried to back up, but his legs wouldn't cooperate. He stood frozen and stared in shock around the room. What a mess! The whole room had been trashed. Ray's knees buckled as a shrill moan floated into the room. "We've got to get out," Mike cried. He ran out of the kitchen and pushed Ray out the door. They ran across the yard, slipping, ducking their heads in the pouring rain. "What was that noise?" Mike asked when they were safe on their own porch. "I have no idea," Ray said, struggling to catch his breath. "What was that mess? It looked like a bomb hit the place." "The same with the kitchen," Mike replied. "Garbage was thrown everywhere. What a stink." "This is no joke. We've got to tell Mum and Dad," Ray said. They found their father in a chair in the den. Mum was winding a bandage around his arm. She shook her head. "The cellar door slammed on your father's arm. He's lucky it isn't broken." "I'm okay," Dad told them. "I'm just glad. This is the last time we'll ever fix up an old house. It's almost as if this old place is out to get me." Mum laughed. "Me too. I've had it with do-it-yourself." "This is home from now on." "Let's call it a day," Dad said. He followed Mum up the stairs slowly. "Come to bed, kids." "Be up in a minute, Mum," Mike called after them. Alone in the kitchen, he and Ray gazed out the window. Lightning lit the sky and outlined the house next door. "We should have told them," Ray said softly. "Let's just wait until morning," Mike said. He stared out the window. "Oh, no," he groaned. "What?" Ray said. "What is it?" "I left the Hodges' keys in their kitchen. I didn't even lock the door." He shook his head. I'm going to have to go back." Ray swallowed. "What? Are you crazy?" "Ray, I can't leave the door open. Come, help me." "No way," Ray cried. "Come on," Mike insisted. "All you have to do is stand by the front door and hold it open. I'll do the rest, really. But you've got to stay at the door." It was the first time Ray had ever seen his older brother look really scared. "Well, okay," he agreed. Ducking under the hard rain, they ran across the yard to the house. Mike pushed gently on the door. It creaked and swung open slowly. The lights were still on. "I'll just get the key," he whispered. "That's all I have to do." Ray held the front door open and watched his brother jog down the hallway to the kitchen. "Do you remember where you left it?" Ray whispered. Yep, it's on the table." A deafening crash of thunder froze Mike's steps. The lights flickered twice and went out. Ray gasped. "Come back, Mike. Forget the stupid key." "Don't panic," Mike called. "I've got it. I'm coming down the hall." Ray held his breath and waited for his brother. He listened to his soft footsteps on the floor. Hey! Too many footsteps, clattering footsteps, a stampede, chasing after Mike. "Run for it!" Mike screamed. Thunder crashed. Mike and Ray burst out the front door together. Ray slammed the door behind him. "Hold it shut, don't let it get out!" Mike shrieked, rain dripping down his frightened face. He fumbled with the key in the lock. The doorknob shook violently in Ray's hand. What is it? What is it?" Ray cried. Something pounded the door from inside. "I don't know," Mike shrieked, "and I don't want to find out." Finally, the lock clicked shut. Ray turned to run, but he didn't get far. A blinding white light trapped them, and they froze. "The ghost," Ray choked out. A deep, angry voice cut through the roar of the storm. "What's going on here?" it demanded. "What were you doing in there?" Ray shielded his eyes. "Mr. Hodge?" he asked hopefully. "It's the children from next door," a woman's voice said. "We didn't mean to frighten you." "Mrs. Hodge?" Ray gasped. Ray and Mike stepped out of the headlights of the Hodges' old car. They saw the couple clearly as they walked toward them. "We came home early because of the storm." Mr. Hodge grabbed the front doorknob. "You can't go in there," Ray screamed. "Something awful is in there. It nearly got us." Mrs. Hodge frowned at Mr. Hodge. "I told you we shouldn't have left him." She sounded worried. "He didn't hurt you boys, did he?" You know about the ghost?" Mike stammered. Mr. Hodge shook his head. "Ghost?" A hard thud on the front door was followed by a high-pitched shriek they heard earlier. Ray covered his ears. His whole body shook. Mr. Hodge pulled open the front door and a pink pig came waddling out. "Walter, you rascal," Mrs. Hodge cooed. The pig grunted a greeting to her, its snout twitching in the rain. "He's been our pet for years," Mr. Hodge explained, "but I thought I'd penned him up. When he gets loose, he wrecks the house." "He's afraid of storms," Mrs. Hodge added. "Goes on a rampage when he hears thunder." We know," Ray exclaimed, and they all laughed. At school the next day, Ray and Mike told Chris and the others about their adventure. "So it wasn't a haunted house after all," Ray told them. "The Hodges own a huge pig named Walter." The girl with braces looked puzzled. "Everyone knows about the Hodges and Walter," she said. "Their house isn't haunted. It's the one next door, the empty one on the left." "No, it's not," Chris argued. "It's the house on the right." "Huh? The house on the right?" Ray choked out. "Yeah, the one on the right," Chris repeated. "The one with the crooked chimney?" He turned to the girl with braces. "Don't you know your left from your right?" Yeah, you're right," the girl agreed. "The house on the right. Everyone knows that house is filled with ghosts. Very angry ghosts. Very dangerous ghosts. No one ever survives in that house," another boy added, shaking his head. Chris turned back to Ray and Mike. "By the way, where do you guys live?" he asked. Wow, that was a spooky story. Probably. But if you have been enjoying the Goosebumps stories, just know that there are a whole bunch more right here on the channel to check out. So I'd love it, really love it, if you hung around just a little bit longer and listened to one more. And if you want to hear some more spooky stories coming out in the future, definitely hit that subscribe button as well. Thank you so much for being here, and I can't wait to see you back for some more leftovers. Cheers, guys.